Kufay and Zion, the Mishnah Berurah brings up an interesting point. The Mishnah Berurah says this, that the Shulchan Aruch says that if you eat bread, then you only make a bracha on the bread, you don't have to make brachot on the food that comes with the meal. We now know that you also don't have to make a bracha on the drinks that come with the meal. So the Mishnah Berurah goes on and he says this. He says, what happens if you just eat a little bit of bread? And you eat like a little bit of bread in order to get yourself out of making all those brachot. I mean, it's hard to say that the bread is now an essential part of the meal that you're eating. I mean, you're just eating, say, a kazayat of bread, you're eating a small amount. And the rest of the meal, you don't eat with bread. You don't keep the bread as the basic ingredient of the meal that we eat. So the Mishnah Berurah quotes the Achronim, the latter authorities. And he says the latter authorities are not happy about this. He says you're supposed to eat in a reasonable way, the way the Chazal understood eating, which was that you made a bracha on the bread and you ate bread with the meal, or you ate the food in the meal with the bread. And therefore, it's not obvious that the bread that you eat at the beginning of the meal, and when you're on a diet, you don't want to eat any more bread. On the other hand, you want to get the advantage of not having to make the brachot. It's not obvious that you don't have to make a bracha. And certainly this is the case if a person eats just a little bit of bread, less than a kazayit of bread. So he says, well, the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah says, well, maybe since bread remains the essential food for most of the people who are eating meals, it may be that even for this person who's trying to sneak around and just eat a little bit of bread, or just eat a little bread in order to avoid having to make other brachot, it may be that that really works for him. Because that's what a meal is. A meal is something that starts with bread, right? And even though there are those who say that you should be careful to avoid this situation, and perhaps even you should make a bracha on every one of the foods that you're eating, and you can't allow the bread to give you an advantage in that situation. He says, maybe it's even better not to eat the bread at all if you're going to eat in that way, and then you won't have a problem. You just make a bracha on every different kind of food that you want to eat. In sum, it seems that the Mishnah Berurah leans to saying that if I ate bread and I made a motzi, I don't have to make any other brachot. Even though if I eat only a little bit of bread, that doesn't seem to be what Chazal were thinking of when they said you can be koveya a su'udah, you can create the meal on the bread. Nevertheless, that seems to be the halacha, even though there are poskim who say that you should perhaps make a bracha on all the food that you ate. Maybe you should keep yourself out of this problem by avoiding eating bread at all. Nevertheless, the Mishnah Berurah seems to incline to the side that says that even the small amount of bread that you eat somehow is considered to be koveya su'udah. It creates the su'udah, such that all the other food that you eat that is part of the su'udah is in fact excused from any bracha.